keeping it simple. Low sugar, big flavor. That's what we're about over here. Just a little summary here. We're a top 10 ranked brand by velocity. This is like in the spot you have on shelf, how well you're turning units. So provided the space you got, how you doing? Top 10 brand through the natural channel. This is like your Sprouts. This is your kind of local natural corner stores throughout the country. 111% growth year on year. Last year we closed out at 275. That came from about 55% retail, 45% e-com. We're trending that closer to retail dominance. So this year's gonna be more 80-20. That's where the big wins are, and I'll get to that towards the end. Big thing we're launching with is you're actually the first folks to set eyes on this. We've got a big announcement coming tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout on the Forbes and Yahoos of the world. I'll share more on that in a second. At the end of the day, we've got a pesky $360K left on our 8 mil val cap convertible note. Hoping to close that out in the next several weeks here. So far I've raised 2.64 on that, 360K is remaining. So, my founding story, I think I gave a little bit of background between Lori and I. Big thing is, I'm a personal trainer by trade, clinical nutritionist, and my main client was my old man. He played football at University of Wisconsin-Madison, but he continued to eat and drink like one. Blew up to 350 pounds, and it was just, I couldn't even play catch with the guy. So I helped him, I took it into my own hands, educated myself, and then turned around and helped him lose over 100 pounds, kicked insulin, get off the sleep apnea, breathing mask, the whole deal. And I trained hundreds of other clients doing similar weight management goals. What it all came down to is just identifying where the sugar is in your daily diet. I mean, like orange juice, you'd be blown away how much sugar is in orange juice. Bananas, we were just talking about it outside with another individual. So, and we kind of touched on it with even this area here, is diabetes is insane. I believe, Laura, you said it was over 50% in this area. It's insane. The national number is 43% of Americans are either diabetic or pre-diabetic, and it's rising. It's pretty much criminal. That's the real epidemic going on right now. Diabetes is a 4x leader to heart disease, heart attacks, strokes. I mean, it's just insane what it triples into. So if we can kind of cut sugar, curb diabetes, we're doing pretty good as a society. This is a founding team. You know enough about me. We do have some pretty strategic backers that are high flyers in the consumer goods space right now. Liquid IV, they're a hydration packet. They sold to Unilever back in 2020 for an undisclosed amount, well into the 9 figures. The founder of that is a significant investor and an advisor of ours. And in the middle is Super Coffee. They recently moved their headquarters to Austin, Texas. They're a ready-to-drink coffee beverage. Recently valued at 500 mil. I know they're valued way more than that right now. And all 3 of the brothers have invested. The main one, the founder, Jordan, sits on our board, and we live right next to each other. We meet up all the time. I practically live out of their headquarters. So kind of stealing their playbook to avoid as many potholes as I can. This is the product. So you're getting a little snapshot here. This looks, of course, a little different from what you're seeing in front of you. This is the Q4 refresh, inclusive of Tebow and the final rebrand that we're doing with NuSkool Snacks. This is what you're going to see on shelves come Q4. Speaking of shelves, we're at H-E-B and Sprouts, for example. Plant-based product, has a little crunchy texture, very similar to what you're eating here. Strawberry and lemon are going to be new flavors. We already have double chocolate and caramel sea salt out in the market. This is the big news here. Old Tebow, great guy. He actually approached us. This is a cool thing. So we weren't just searching for a life raft. His team reached out to us. He was seeking a low sugar brand he could get around. He just finally admitted he's done with sports. So he backed a juice brand. He backed a cryotherapy kind of, wellness chain, and then we're his snacking brand that he's getting behind. He's a fierce low sugar advocate and a significant social media following. And I've kind of listed out the states that he's in. Of course, Texas is number 3 here. I'm not going to go into every detail here, but I get a lot of pushback on, but the nutrition bar category is crowded and acknowledged, but you carve out a couple points in it and you're doing very, very well. Quest Nutrition, for example, owns 7% of the market and they sold for $1.1 billion 2 years ago. Similar story for RX Bar. What we're seeing is the snack bar category has expanded and proliferated to the point that there's almost too many, one-trick ponies out there. Go Macro is a great product, but it's still chock full of sugar. Our product is able to check off and consolidate what you're seeing in the trailing end there. All natural and plant-based, but we're also low sugar. We don't have any sugar alcohols. Kind of all the things I was mentioning at the top of the call. So we're kind of a common thread for a retailer to authorize us and solve several of their segments within that crowded segment. Plus bring some fresh blood into it. We just had a meeting with Albertsons and they're like, yeah, we're pretty fatigued, aren't we? We got to overhaul this. This is our distribution. Lower is the e-com heat map, the usual suspects, but pretty heavy penetration out on the East Coast, exactly where Tim is. And then our retail distribution, we try to expand regionally. Sprouts is the primary reason for the East Coast penetration, but we're really heavy in the Southwest and creeping down into Texas and the Florida markets with Southeast grocers. Our go-to-market strategy, what we do, we kind of learned this in COVID, is in lieu of being able to do in-store demonstrations, we figured out how to sample digitally. So what we are able to do is a low-cost sampler program, $5.99, just pay shipping. We acquire the customer's email or cell phone number, oftentimes both. They get a sample pack. We literally hand pack it. Mike, how many did we do last year? 23,000 ourselves? It's too many. It's fine. We like the hustle. It saves us $6 each one instead of our 3PL doing it. Send it to the customers. We geo-target and retarget back to them through email and text because we receive that. And we just drive them into our stores to, hey, buy here. And our velocity shot up, our same-store sales growth shot up over 300%, and that's why we have that top 10 sales velocity. So it is absolutely a scalable and effective go-to-market strategy. This is the retail roadmap. We have active conversations with many of these folks. They review only one time a year, so it's kind of got to hit them when they're ready. Active conversations right now under review with Albertsons, Wegmans, and Kroger's coming around in 2 months. Those would be the big ones. We capture these guys and we start hitting our 2023 projections. So closing this year around 3, you'll start to see in 23 and onward is when the Tebow effect and our sort of full brand really comes to fruition. So close to 10 in 2023. Let's have a laser pointer on it. Yeah. And then we hit our stride in 24 and 25. This is an unprofitable business right now. It's kind of the unfortunate, ugly side of consumer product goods. It's really heavy on the marketing spend and gaining your distribution. It's pretty costly to market and get into these larger retail stores with their sliding fees. But if you execute well, it does turn into a profitable business. For example, I took out the other slide. But for example, RX Bar, when they were sold to Kellogg's, they were on pace to do $130 million in revenue, and they were profitable by $20 million that year, and they sold for $660. So it's roughly the market standard is about 4 to 6x top line revenue, and it's trending towards more of an EBITDA multiple. So that's why we're kind of funneling all our efforts to get profitable as soon as possible, and then it's about a 30 to 40x on EBITDA at exit. Usually these conglomerates like your Mondeleze's, Unilever's, Mars of the world, they're looking for you to at least be at about $25 million in revenue. So we'll start to be on there. I'm already talking to them, and I was already part of Mondeleze's incubator program, but they really get serious in our 2024. So we're kind of looking at a 25, 26, 2025 or 2026 exit plan, so we're about 4 years out. But that's really the nuts and bolts. I would love to field any questions around NuSkool and where we're headed.
I assume your dollars that you're raising are mainly going towards marketing?
Yeah, and that implies another question. We outsource all of our operations and fulfillment, aside from our sampler campaign we do in-house. So logistics, fulfillment, and manufacturing is all in Los Angeles. So we really are just a sales and marketing company.
And they have the capacity to handle your expansion?
Yeah, they just moved into a 40,000 square foot facility with 3 more lines. So they're good to go literally through 2025. But we do already have discussions as backup for, one of them is the one that actually produces for Larbar. So we have backup plans for scalability. Yes?
What does the bar sell for?
On shelf $269 is our MSRP. Yeah.
How does that compare with?
Especially right now, with literally every one of our peers, including us, raising we were $249. So everyone raised their prices by 10 to 12% with the supply chain issues of the last year. So we're right in the middle of the pack. We're never going to be your loss leader. We're never going to be your, 10 for 10 product. We just can't get down there with our all natural ingredients. But we're right in the middle of the pack. Several of our peers are $2.99 to $3.19. Yes.
So break down your 2025 operating expenses. They're, look like they, $13 million. What are they made up of?
Yeah, so we're forecasting significant headcount additions for the retail authorizations that we'll be receiving, but it's primarily around marketing spend. So digital marketing, field marketing, you start to get into a little more experiential marketing opportunities at that kind of, ACV is kind of the metric that consumer goods brands look at. Once we kind of achieve that 20 to 25% kind of market penetration, it starts to make sense to do out-of-home
So
marketing.
you have to pay to get into HEB?
For that, it was just giving a free fill. So one free box per flavor per store. So it's pretty low, but when you start to talk like the Walmarts and the Targets, and a lot of the Northeast retailers are pretty notorious for this, it'll be anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 fee per like flavor that you get authorized in. Walmart's even higher, like 50, 75 grand sometimes. But then again, it's also a $10 million opportunity, so you just kind of, you have that conversation with the likes of you folks. Yes?
What is trade spend?
Yeah, trade spend is could be as simple as just the discount. So like when we run about 16 to 20 weeks out of the year of promotional activity at HEB. So when we have a 2 for 4, which is about a 20-ish% drop from our MSRP, that is fully burdened by us. So we get charged back for every bar that scans through the register for that period of time. We get charged back to our distributors, and it comes off the invoice ultimately when we get paid back. So if we get a $30,000 PO, I mean, I'm never going to see that 30 grand. I've probably seen 22 of it at best because we're constantly running promotions. Then it's like, of course, your sliding fees, end cap fees, like at the end of the aisle, pay extra. It's all about, it's one thing to get on shelf, it's another thing to get off shelf and get visibility in secondary placements. So
You have projections beyond 2025?
I'm working on it right now with Jordan DeSico at Super Coffee. Yeah, I can get that to you then by the end of the week. That's literally what we're working on right now. Yeah.
What's your difference on your margins between retail and online?
It's actually pretty similar. We're at about a 51% product
On
margin.
both?
Yeah. It kind of evens out. Yes.
Of the various brands that you had up on the screen earlier, are any of those zero sugar alcohol?
No. Well, yes, but they're full of like natural sugar. Some of them, like Go Macro, for example, that's going to be really heavy with dates and honey as their coagulant to keep the product together. So they don't have to use sugar
So
alcohol.
does anybody, in terms of the combination of sugar or sugar alcohol, are you dramatically different than everyone else on that? The bottom there?
No, I wouldn't say dramatically different. We would have a different, a more natural taste and texture feel to it compared to your Quest bar, for example. RX bar has a very chewy kind of. The knock on it is, I have my RX bar and it took me, a minute and a half to eat it.
Yep.
You can attest to it, right? So ours just has a nice, pleasant taste and texture to it. Yeah, but I'll be the first to say the bar category is, about 30 years old at this point. You're not knocking anyone's socks off with, the next rocket ship here. But there's absolutely a very, 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 very significant appetite for a low sugar, no sugar alcohol alternative to what these, Luddites have created at this point. There's been, not much innovation in this category. Okay.
In terms of the margin being similar between your channels, is that because it's so much of it is focused on, the spend is focused on marketing, so kind of it's spread sort of uniformly across both channels?
Yeah, exactly. The simple answer is yes.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I have a few questions.
Please.
First of all, where is that sweet part come from? You only have 2 grams of sugar. Where's the rest of it?
Yeah, so the sugar that is in there is from the almond butter. So that's just naturally occurring. We can't extract
Is that
that.
stevia?
Not stevia. So we're using monk fruit extract, which is a natural sweetener. It's actually 100 times sweeter than like for like than sugar. So it's just like 2 droplets in each bar. And then we're also using allulose. It's another form of sweetener. Yeah, and it helps out with the coagulation of the product.
I have 4 questions.
Bring them.
Name, where did the name come from?
NuSkool. So we wanted to be 1 degree of separation from, a lot of brands go in on like keto this or product or solution that. We wanted to set up a platform that we could, at the right time, extend out to other snacks and not be partitioned into one specific diet. There's many of our peers right now that branded as keto this and keto that, and they're just it's not a healthy place that they're headed to in the future here. So NuSkool at the core is just familiar snacks reinvented without the sugar. That was kind of the mantra going into the naming choice.
Cost of each unit, how much it costs you to make one of these?
The average between the flavors, it's different for each one. It's about 78 cents landed.
And then, is this replace a meal? If I can take this one, I can take it like a lunch or dinner or breakfast?
From a satiation standpoint, yes. What I mean by that is with the fiber and the healthy fats, you'll feel full enough as if you had a meal, but we're never going to paint it as a meal replacement product. That's kind of like what I was saying in the top of the meeting.
So how are you supposed to lose weight with this?
It's a tool in your tool belt. It's a tool in
So
your
I
tool
mean, if
belt.
I eat my own just regular lunch and have this as a dessert,
Absolutely, yeah.
but I still have the same amount of calorie every day.
I mean, that's on you to monitor the salad you're eating. Cut out the dressing, you know?
Instead of that grande mocha frappuccino that you're
Exactly,
eating.
yeah.
You got one of these.
Don't blame me for that.
No, I didn't, okay. No,
He's satiating you with the meal.
the question is this gonna be satisfying you for 4 or 5 hours?
I mean, I don't have a scientific study on that, but absolutely.
Because you're a nutritionist, you know what you do.
Yeah, that's the point of the fiber and the fats, is to
Okay.
be a slow release of energy and keep you full.
So how do you compare this with the other guys over there?
Yeah, I should make a chart that literally, I do have one in a longer form deck of breaking us down by fiber, fats, etc. We have a superior fiber content to just about everyone on here. I think the balance bar is similar. And then the healthy fat consistency, we're superior to the majority of these folks too.
So as a marketing tool, can you, I guess, rectify this? And when the consumer comes into, let's say, Sprout, they see a bunch of, bars, how are you gonna get this one into their eye? Hey, this is the one you should be buying.
Yeah, I mean, that comes with our marketing plan, really. It's in-store demos, it's all the e-commerce efforts that we're doing, building the brand, through these alternative channels, and of course, having, effective displays at these retail partners.
If you're pushing the low sugar part of it, go back to your new, you've got
We hit
that
you
on
right
there
there
now
with it.
where it's easier to see, but.
That's what's missing on what you're in front of your face, right? Yeah. So that's the big thing that we solve for with this.
I mean, that's kind of a two-edged sword, that when you are sitting there looking at all the bars and you see one that says no sugar, depending on how dedicated you are, you might move on down without trying to sample to see.
I hear it.
4 years ago, I started a keto diet, and I lost 20 pounds doing it. And I specifically liked chocolate peanut butter. And I went through HEB and Sprouts, and I picked up like every one of them that was semi-keto friendly. They were all okay. This was good.
Thank you.
And so and I can speak to meal replacement or whatever. I was trying to replace a meal. You can replace a meal with these. If you're trying to cut back calories, there's a way to do it.
For sure.
And and it does satiate. You're not hungry. I mean, that's why you do keto a lot of times, and why it works is because you can have fat, you can have protein, you can have fiber. All of those things fill you up for a time.
Exactly.
So I guess mainly I was saying that this flavor was really good. I also tried the French toast just for market research. It's pretty good too, but it's hard to beat chocolate peanut butter.
We have time for one more question.
I notice on here it says one of your ingredients is wheat, and you also list it as gluten-free. How
No,
does that
it's
work?
not an ingredient. It's a compliance disclaimer that you have to say. out of the manufacturing facility that the facility may contain wheat. So the product itself does not, but I don't even want to get started on the compliance rabbit hole we have to do to get this darn product out. So thank God we have great third-party consultants that great manufacturer. Good question.
So what's your average price per bar in terms of net to you? I mean, you said the MSRP is like $2.50, right around there?
$2.69 to the consumer. So we sell to the distributor $1.61 per unit. And then e-commerce is a couple pennies beyond that after you kind of net everything out. The shipping and
But does that take into account the promotions you're running?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have, after